The story of Barabbas. Barabbas waited on the death row shelf. He had run in again. He would die by himself. His muscles were thin, his skin was pale, but then that comes with a stay in jail. He was tough underneath and rough as well, but he jumped at a thump on the door of his cell. The sweat dropped down from the frown on his brow as he thought to himself, "What's happening now?" The sound of rattling chains was clear, and scuffling footsteps reached his ear. A little way off, the noise stopped short. The Roman ruler was holding court. A trial, yes, that's what it must be. Barabbas wished he could hear and see. A man whose back was racked with pain was brought to a trial in an iron chain. Everyone listened as the questions came. "You're the king of the Jews?" He was Jesus by name. "You've said it yourself," Jesus replied, and the priest, his enemies, stamped and lied. They hissed and insisted that several crimes, Jesus was guilty of terrible crimes. They accused him of things that just weren't true, and everyone wondered what Jesus would do. They listened for a word. Not one was spoken. They waited, but the silence remained unbroken. "What?" said the ruler in shocked surprise, for he knew too they were telling lies. "Won't you answer? Haven't you heard?" But Jesus spoke not a single word. Now every year it had come to be that the ruler set one prisoner free. It just was the custom the mob must choose, and now was the time to announce the news. So Pilate said, "You people know it's time to let one prisoner go. Shall I give you Jesus? What's your decision? Or the criminal Barabbas who's locked up in prison?" Now everyone knew that Barabbas was bad and the kind of reputation he had. For murder and stealing, he was locked in a cell, and maybe more too, though no one can tell. Then Pilate's wife sent a message, a note, and Pilate read the words she wrote. "I had a nightmare. Oh, what a fright. It scared me terribly late last night. It was all about Jesus, and now I know that you should let that good man go." Meanwhile, the chiefs of the priests did a pretty fast job of changing the mind of the whole big mob. Then Pilate, still holding the scribbled note, turned to the mob and cleared his throat. "Who shall I give you? What shall be done?" "Turn loose Barabbas," they screamed as one. "What about Jesus?" Pilate demanded. "Crucify Jesus," the crowd commanded. "He says he's the Son of God," one snorted. "We'll teach him who's who," a priest retorted. Pilate felt helpless as he heard them sneer. Then this is the whisper that reached his ear. "The priests are jealous." He showed them up and said that they're just like a fancy cup that is clean on the outside but dirty within. They pretend to be good, but they're full of sin. So they thought up a plan to stir up a riot to get rid of Jesus and keep him quiet. "He's done no evil," Pilate cried. "We want him dead," the crowd replied. Again there rose a wild commotion like the mighty roar of an angry ocean. Things were getting out of hand, and Pilate decided to take a stand. "I'll wash my hands of the case," he said. "His blood will be upon your head. I'm through. He's yours," he said aloud, and handed him over to the waiting crowd. Back in his cell, Barabbas waited. Barabbas, the man who robbed and hated. The cell door opened. Barabbas grew paler. "You're free. You won't die," said the Roman jailer. "Instead, they'll punish an innocent man." And Barabbas was stunned at the twist about plan. But I doubt he guessed as he watched that day an innocent man being led away that when Jesus died on the cross, the tree, he was setting millions of people free. The end.
The story of Barabbas is a great story. It's about someone that did everything wrong, someone that deserves to be punished and put to death, and yet he's alive. What a story. What makes that happen? That's our great Jesus, the God who forgives us everything. Even if we act like Barabbas, he's a forgiving God. And Barabbas got it then.